Okay, and this report is all about living things. And the evolution is debunked by our own human body, our eyes and our cells, which have to be connected precisely and sparked, or we're not alive. Read it with me. Item 1. Neuron. That's a specialized cell receiving from the brain command center, and transmitting as a nerve impulse, a nerve cell. And you've got a picture of it on your screen. Dendrites. They're the short branched extension of a nerve cell, along which impulses received from other cells at synapses and transmitted to the cell body, key part of the central nervous system. And you've got a picture there on the screen. The axon, the long thread-like part of a nerve cell along which impulses are conducted from the cell body to other cells, which are covered by a special myelin sheath. Item 4. The neurotransmitter. That's a chemical substance, for example hormones, that is released at the end of a nerve fiber, which relays the nerve impulse from the brain by diffusing across the synapse or junction to receptors, causing the transfer of the impulse to another nerve fiber, to muscle fiber, or some other specially created structure. Item 5. Synapses. That's a junction between two nerve cells, consisting of a minute gap across which impulses pass by diffusion of the neurotransmitters like adrenaline. Now there's trillions of cells like this in our body, and they have to be connected absolutely precisely, and that in itself could not have happened with the Big Bang. That could not have happened by natural selection, because what you're looking at had to happen, had to be installed into the very first created being. And of course, Yahweh, the creator God, that the Illuminati tell the world doesn't exist, is responsible for making what you see on your screen and putting it into the human body. Now this is about mankind. Mankind cannot create original things, but has a technology to corrupt the original creation that Yahweh, the creator God, made, and made alone. You've got some pictures there on your screen, and if you look on the right-hand side, that is one of the giants. There's been millions of these giants unearthed all over the world. And if you go to the old book, the first to show mankind how to recreate, that was done by the fallen angels in Genesis 6. The ruling elite, that's Masons, Illuminati, have concealed this evidence, and they force archaeologists to swear to secrecy. Then they publish false propaganda to the media, which they also control, so you're not getting any truth about it. Up there on the left, there's an example of Dolly the sheep, which was created from a test tube. And down the bottom, you've got the dinosaur. Now the dinosaur, it was proven they are infertile mutants, because no baby or teenager dinosaurs have been found. That means they were part of the corrupted flesh that Yahweh, the Creator God, decreed to destroy. And that's also in Genesis 6. But you've got the ruling elite, the Masons, Illuminati, who want you to believe that Yahweh God does not exist. And they want you to believe the false box of lies about evolution. Now, of course, if all this information was given to the world, then the world would quickly realize that what they've been told by the ruling elite is nothing more than fables and lies. I cover up to chart 3. The heading says, "The awesome and incredible way that we have been made, which debunks the lies of the evolution theory." And we're going to talk about the capacity of the brain, which you saw in chart 1. Item 1. An organ. The brain is a soft nervous tissue contained in the skull of vertebrates, but it's approximately at 74% water, functioning as a coordinating center of sensation, intellectual and nervous activity. The brain consists of 3 main parts. 1, the forebrain, greatly developed into the cerebrum. That consists of 2 hemispheres, joined by a bridge of nerve fibers, and is responsible for thought and the control of speech. 2, the midbrain. The upper part of the tapering brain stem contains cells involved in eye movements and focusing, and these messages are relayed to the whole brain. Item 2. Item 3 in 2, the hindbrain. The lower part of the brain stem contains cells responsible for breathing, for keeping you alive, and for regulating heart action and the flow of digestive juices and other unconscious actions and processes that are necessary to keep your body alive. The cerebellum, which lies behind the brainstem, it plays an important role in the execution of highly skilled movements. Item 3. Your brain interacts with every aspect and needs of your body, giving directions to the cells in the nervous system. Your whole body is a bioelectrical machine under the control from the brain as the command base, which could not have come into existence by chance or by any other fake theory as evolution, or by another fake theory called natural selection. There are billions of neurons with synapses in your brain that must be connected up correctly, and we could not exist if they weren't connected up exactly and precisely. That's in also item in chart 1. Item 4. The brain was meticulously created to function for all parts of the body and has the capacity to hold more memory than 1,000 computers and never be filled. And according to statistical projected reports, the brain can learn something new every day for 1,000,000 years and not be filled. But the Masons, the Illuminati, say that we came from evolution, and they want you to not see this evidence. Item 5. Every man was not some dumb caveman or dumb animal that the ruling elite would have you believe. Every living thing was created perfectly designed to suit the eco-balance in nature. All creatures, animals, birds, insects, reptiles, are programmed to be either a carnivore, a herbivore, or an omnivore, etc. So you can't feed, for example, a cockatoo meat and keep it alive. It won't eat it. It's a herbivore. Now, the mad-cow disease, that resulted from feeding a toxic canola rapeseed plant meal in pellet form, which reconstituted offal from the abattoirs. Fancy feeding this to a bovine ruminant, which are not carnivores. Their specially created digestive system with 3 stomachs and a sensitive internal organs cannot deal with such toxins and meat byproducts. So why make a cow being a cannibal? So because of this, as you can see the note down the bottom, there's many countries now in Europe, they have recently banned canola feeds and canola oil. And I might add, if you look at the report that I gave you, canola oil, which is now sold in many of the takeaway food giants, is also toxic to the human body, and we should not eat it. So ask a silly question. Could all this happen from the Big Bang? Could it all happen from natural selection? Or was all of this prepared and created and designed by Yahweh, the living creator God? Now we're up to chart 4. Now let's talk about the heart that you have in your body. And you can ask another silly question. Could all the heart and vital organs come by chance or by the Big Bang or by evolution? I don't think so. Let's look at item 1. The heart, which is a hollow muscular organ that pumps the blood through the circulatory system. But there's over 4.25 million miles of lymphatic system. Now, if you didn't have all of those lymphatic systems, you could not be alive. It is pumped by rhythmic contraction and dilation, and in vertebrates there may be up to 4 chambers, as in humans, with 2 astria and 2 ventricles, and they are all perfectly created to function continuously. Whether you live to be 60, 70, 80 or 90, that heart keeps on pumping continuously. Item 2. Anatomy. Each of the 2 upper cavities of the heart, from which blood is passed to the ventricles, each of the 2 main chambers of the heart, left and right. Item 3. The right atrium receives used up deoxygenated blood from the veins of the body. The left atrium receives oxygenated blood from the pulmonary vein. This is a vein carrying oxygenated blood from the lungs to the left atrium of the heart. Item 4. All mammals have to have this, and it has to be connected to their unique brain command, the brain command center, or they would not be living. And again, this organ had to be made and created for the very first creation perfectly and connected up perfectly. This is also connected back to your brain as the command center for what your body is needing. Okay, we're up to chart 5. Now let's talk about what mankind, the international health regulations, your doctors, your medical fraternity, let's have a look at what they have done, all according to what they think we should have. And the heading is, of course, antibiotic-resistant disease is a highly lethal man-made plague. And it is. Item 1. According to the landmark antibiotic resistance threat report published by the CDC, October 2013, 2 million American adults and children become infected with antibiotic-resistant bacteria each year, and some 37,000 of them die as a result because of those infections. Even more die from complications. As a recent article in the Roselle magazine highlights what the FDA knew. Now the authorities, the governments, the FDA have hid all this about antibiotics and allowed it to go into animal feed, thereby allowing the problem to persist and grow unchecked. Because when you eat the animal meat or chicken, you are eating antibiotics that we should never have had in our gut. Globally, it is estimated over 15 million people are dying unnecessarily each year from drugs. And isn't it amazing? The same people will try and stop anybody giving people a alternative, natural drug, not drugs, but substances which can help the body. Item 2. The Food and Drug Administration, FDA, has known for more than 15 years that the use of antibiotics in factory farms, that's chicken, cattle, dairy, etc., is harmful to us humans. Yet, the agency has taken no meaningful action to stem their use. Dr. McCullough wrote all this report. All countries are using the same feed, and all governments ignore the warnings. Item 3. According to the Infectious Disease Society of America, just one organism, methicillin, resistant to staph, better known as MRSA, kills more Americans each year than the combined total of emphysema, HIV, AIDS, Parkinson's disease, and homicide. And there you've got a note about the staph disease, which is absolutely rampant in the hospitals and the medical practitioners. Item 4. The NRDC report also found that as far back as 1970s, when many of the antibiotics now used in feed were being reviewed by the FDA for approval, 18 of these antibiotics were considered very high risk for humans, but they allowed the same banned antibiotics to be used in animal feed. And still, to this day, these antibiotics are still used in animal food. All right, we're up to chart 6. Now let's have a read. Read it with me. Item 1. From the hospital's report. Back in 1953, cancer patients were only about 3%. Now, in 1993, the patients were 90% with any or some kind of cancer, and increased to 3,000% in a short 40 years. Why? Item 2. This is about another lethal man-made plague of pestilence, transient EMF, EMR, ELF, Wi-Fi, all called dirty electricity. There's a woman who wrote a book, and you've got it there, you can order that book, Donna Fisher. The book is called Dirty Electricity and Magnetic Radiation. She recommends that we get Stetzerizer GS filters. They are essential, she says, a device to invest in your home. You may need at least 15 or more of these such filters plugged into your sockets to counteract the dirty electricity. Item 3. Leukemia in children has risen by 377%. And we now have an epidemic of all types of cancer in our society. Yet we have more drugs available than ever before. Asthma's gone up to 87%. ADHD is up 213%. Multiple sclerosis is up 175%. Brain cancer, 127% up. Breast cancer is up 237% up. Kidney cancer is 142%. Colon cancer, 163%. And diabetics, 179%. And all of these sicknesses and diseases are on the increase. Item 4. When we are exposed to transient, the dirty electricity, the electrons in our body start to oscillate at the same rate. This causes internal fields that damage cells and disturb vital intercellular communication from our brain. And you just saw on chart 1 and the details on chart 3 about this. Item 5. Increased sickness is expected. Since the ever-increasing number of computers, cell phones, plasma TVs and Wi-Fi devices are in millions of homes now, the symptoms that you will get include pains, headaches, dizziness, depression, unable to focus, chronic fatigue, backache, sleep deprivation, appetite for infertility and miscarriages. And other serious culprits that the people are now getting is getting it through CT scans and mammograms and x-rays. And of course, you've got the ruling elite and the health departments pushing TV ads to promote that you go in and get a CT scan or a mammogram. Item 6. Sensible diet is essential to regain good health. So cut out pre-packed, imported anything. Limit sugar. Limit takeaways. Forget about going to the takeaways that I've already shown you without cooking with canola oil. Eat plenty of greens, local vegetables, and better if you're growing your own. Now, the authorities have known all about this dirty electricity. They've known all about this for many, many years. Do they do anything to stop it? No. And they're not going to, because they're under the influence of the giant drug and pharmaceutical companies. And don't forget, some companies spend millions of dollars with the TV stations. So the TV station is not going to be in a hurry to cut out their business, their profits, because of what we've shown you here. There's no wonder why they will not release this information to the people in the world. Now this is a little bit more about how we can overcome all of these viruses and diseases. Chart 7, number 1. Antibiotics destroy the beneficial bacteria in the human body, which we've already shown you, not only in the gut but in other organs and tissues. They have a direct damaging effect on the immune system, making us more vulnerable to infections, which leads to a vicious cycle of more antibiotics and more infections. A lot of people use silver as a defense against harmful organisms, but after the development of the patented antibiotics by the drug and pharmaceutical companies, they've done their best to demonize colloidal silver because they cannot patent it. Item 2. Silver acts as a second immune system for the humans by destroying bacteria and viruses of all kinds. It is toxic to bacteria, viruses, yeast, fungi, protozoa, and parasites in the egg shape. Therefore, colloidal silver will destroy staph and strep bacteria, which is so common in today's health problems and the hospitals. Laboratory tests show over 650 diseases and health problems that silver in colloidal form kills. Item 3. There's no side effects. Colloidal silver has been used for thousands of years, and the colloidal silver outperforms any mainstream method used against harmful organisms. There's good bacteria that's in our intestinal tract that must not be killed, and antibiotics do kill it. And the antibiotics have never been effective against viruses, yeast, or fungus. A colloid is a substance of ultramicroscopic particles. Colloidal silver is nothing more than very tiny minute particles of pure silver suspended in distilled water through the process of electrolysis. Silver does not attack the bacteria directly, but rather it decomposes certain enzymes that the anaerobic bacteria and viruses, yeasts and molds require. And this is the main reason why this indirect action by colloidal silver has not allowed any of the diseases to develop a resistance as they do with the antibiotics. Also, the electrical impulses from our brain zap it out. And of course, again, the Mason Illuminati cartel, they have stopped the medical practitioners from using it, and if a doctor prescribed it, they're in big trouble. Now, in my many reports, I've had a few people that have written in and said it's a bitter pill to swallow that the Jesus doctrine is false. So I'm putting up this chart again. Now, it's a chart from a previous report that I've given to you. And up the top of the heading, you've got the falsehood Jewish Talmud origin, Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement. That's a copy over from the Egyptian temple cult. And many parts are used for stories in the New Testament, hundreds of years later. In item 15, all reports, all stories, all persons mentioned in the New Testament are mythical and false. The New Testament is an add-on words to Yahweh's words, which is in breach of his commands, and their abomination to Yahweh God. The book of Revelation is rewritten, and it's a copy over out of the Jewish mysticism of their Kabbalah. That is false. And I've asked my people to keep referring to only the Yahweh's words in Jeremiah, Isaiah, Ezekiel, Amos, and Hosea. You'll see there in item 15 that the word Lord in all of the Bibles replaced the word Yahweh. They deleted the word Yahweh so you would not know Yahweh. And of course in Isaiah 11, Yahweh says all nations will gather to me. All false doctrines are a copy from the Egypt temple cult of Horus and Osiris, etc. And all the falsehood items that are used in the New Testament is some listed down below in item 17, and they are false. The word Hashem, by the way, is being put into the Jewish Tanakh, Jewish Bible. But the word Trinity, Holy Spirit, Son of God, L-O-R-D, Lord, Jesus, hell, heaven as a redeemed place, resurrection, and there will be no rapture, and there'll be no Jesus sacrifice. And here you see again that the sacrifice for blood to atone for sins is way back there in the ancient religions. In item 16 in the middle there, you've got the words from Yahweh, and I'll let you read them in your own time. But that is just to recap the information and the facts and the evidence that I gave to you in that report, that the Jesus doctrine is false.